I have probably the one best tip, I think, for wildlife and bird photography. And we're gonna walk down to this beach right down here, see if we can get a few shots. So let's talk about it. I see a lot of people making videos about the top 10 tips, the top 5 tips, the best way to get sharp photos, things like that. And to me, that's all good advice and all good things to say. And I got a lot of bugs around me right now. But to me, the biggest tip I could give you for bird and wildlife photography, and this may sound silly, is practice. Practice, practice, practice. And coming here to Kodiak, which is just gorgeous, we've had some horrible weather, but today it's not too bad, but it is still pretty cloudy. Brought that home about practice, 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 even for myself, and I shoot a lot. And my uncle, when he came up here too. And why practice? Well, if you come out here to an exotic or one of your destinations, like to Alaska, or you're going to the Serengeti, excuse me about the bugs if I keep swiping at my face. So you're going to Africa, you're coming to Alaska, you're going to one of these, Costa Rica, one of these tropical places, and you don't know how to use your camera, or you don't know how to get the shots that you want to get. You don't know how to work in different lights, and that's what I mean by practice. So, and by practice is to go find at your local park your mallard, your most common duck, something you can find all the time that's going to move and react differently. You know, you can use a stuffed toy to get used to getting your angles and stuff, but practice, practice, practice. And by that, it's just learn your camera. I see a lot of people talk about my camera's not sharp, it won't focus, won't do those things. As I'm working here with Don, using his camera and using my cameras, talking about those things about sharpness and focus and working through those things. But if you try to work through those things, once you get to Africa or you get to Costa Rica or you get to Alaska or you find one of those exotic animals or exotic birds, if you don't know how to shoot to start with, or you haven't gone out and practiced a lot, you're going to miss the shot. You're going to miss the critical focus. You're going to miss all of those things. So by going to your local pond, finding a mallard or whatever, or a magpie, maybe a crow or a grackle, whatever you got local that's just everywhere, go out and photograph those and photograph them over and over and over. If you see a shot you like from a photographer or whatever, you see that, look at it, look at the angle, look at their backgrounds, look at their foregrounds. A lot of folks like me, you'll give what my shutter speed was, my aperture, my ISO, those type things, how I pre-process. So now you'll know, hey, that's probably what I would want to use. Again, the conditions today depends which direction I'm facing, my exposure. But if I hadn't practiced that at my local pond, even like what we did before we came up to Alaska, or Kodiak, excuse me, is we went over to Whittier and a couple other places, and we started photographing some ducks and stuff on just what we could find to get used to the equipment we were going to take, what the camera settings, how the cameras are reacting, how they're working with the different light conditions, talking about those type of things with practice, 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 practice. So that's what I'm driving home today is go out and practice on the common animal, because when you see the wild animal, the lion or the leopard chasing something, you know how to hit something in speed. When you see that beautiful eagle flying across, you shot your mallards flying, you shot the birds in flight, you've practiced on that on a common animal, you got out your exotic animal, and you can nail the shot. That's what we're getting to. So we've been out here shooting Harlequin ducks, so I'll probably roll that in here a little bit and show you kind of what we got today. And we'll talk a little bit more about practice along the way, and I think we're gonna hit a couple more spots we're gonna hit. And again, if we hadn't practiced on the oyster catchers like we did in the last video, we hadn't practiced on the grebe on the water with our equipment we're gonna take and how we're gonna use it, we would have been ill prepared for what we did here today on these Harlequin ducks, which is really cool. Pretty hard to get them in because Harlequins are real spooky. So we'll roll that in here, we'll move to our next spot, and I'll talk to you a little bit more. We moved to a new location. Hopefully you can hear me. Pretty windy right now. But I've got a lot of semi-palmated plovers and some least and western sandpipers here is where we're at right now. And there's some chicks in here too, which is really cool. And you might be able to hear them flying around, but it's really windy. Hopefully this is not bad for audio. All right, back to practice, why you practice. And one of the biggest reasons to practice is what's happening right now. Since we've been up here, we've had maybe half day on one day, half day on another, where we had any bit of sun, like this morning. And right now, it is completely overcast and it's rain most days. So my thing about practice is, when the weather's crap, that's definitely when you want to go out and practice. Go out in the worst weather, because what's going to happen, more than likely, you're going to get out on your big trip you want to go on, just like this one, and the weather is not good, the light's not good. So go out and practice in bad weather. If it's raining, go practice in it. If it's windy, go practice in it. Light's bad like today, go practice in it. So you get good at knowing how to expose, how to deal with the wind, how to dress for the wind, how to dress for the weather, just like we are now. We're both in rubber pants, rain pants, and our raincoats too. And so that's the biggest thing about practice right there, knowing your conditions. And the other part about practicing, by doing things over and over and over, you get muscle memory. You also know your conditions. You know when the light changes and which direction the light is by practicing over and over and over on your common subjects when you're at home or when bad weather or even good weather. Really high, practice in the middle of the day. See what you can do during an overcast day. I know people say don't shoot in the middle of the day, but you can. You just have to look at things maybe like water bounce or things like that for light. But what it is, you get muscle memory, and also you instinctively, by instinct, instead of thinking about it too much, you already know how to expose, how to frame your shot, things like that. You know, if you're on an extremely sunny day, you know, you'll learn that, you know, water is going to be gray. On a cloudy day like today, it's going to be gray. You kind of want those side lights where you'll get the water where it'll look like water. And what do you do when that is? By practicing, you learn what to do, what makes your images get good. So that's kind of the next part about practice. Practice means muscle memory, remember, and knowing what to do on a crappy day. So rainy days, cloudy days like today, because it's fixing to rain over here in a minute, learn how to shoot. So I'm going to get back to hitting these plovers, and I'll talk to you one last little bit about practice at the end. So talk to you then. was so much fun photographing those plovers. Such a fun, cute little bird. We found some of the babies also out there. Man, they really blend in the rocks. Really hard to find, really hard to photograph. But back to practice. So the final part about practice is, after you've been practicing, doing whatever you're trying to figure out, what you're trying to get better at, is roll the tape. Basically review the images you have. Not just go through and find your best images that you took that day and, you know, get those images. What you want to do is you want to look at the images that you got wrong. You want to look at the images that were soft, out of focus, motion blur, underexposed, overexposed, and think back to what you're doing that day and do it that day. Pull your images off your camera that day, put them on your computer and review those images. And you should be able to remember what you did during the day. If you got a bird and you're underexposed or something like that, most of your images, think about what your shutter speed, your aperture, all those type of things, why you were underexposed, and what you could have done better on that subject. Review that and try to get better. If you've got motion blur, look at it. Was it your shake? Was it not fast enough on the shutter, or things like that? If you've got a family of animals and you know, you're not getting all their heads, do you need to increase? What do you need to do? What do you need to do to make that image better? And also look at the images that you got right and look at them and go, why did I get them right? Keep notes, things like that, and make notes for the next time you go out to practice on those same animals to get it right. So what you do is learn. And we've done that on this trip. We were looking at the images last night going, I should have done this, I should have done that. So even though we're out here shooting our exotics on our exotic trip in Kodiak, we're still looking at those images of things, like even what we're looking at right here with when I shot the Harlequin ducks and when I was even shooting the plovers today. I can see in those images, we're going through calling those images, oh, we screwed that up. And me and Dawn are both talking about, I should have done this, should have done that. I wish I'd have done this. And then, you know, I want to go back out and hit those animals again to correct the mistakes we made while we're out. And that's what I mean by practice. Go practice on that mundane animal, something to have a lot of, to get all your skills right, so when you go out and photograph the good stuff, you're going to get the shot. So guys, I hope this video is helpful, and as always, like, subscribe, all those things, and think about becoming a member of the channel to help us out to do more excursions like this. And until next time, get out and run that shutter and practice. See you in the next video.